this.
It's part of the job, maintaining a balanced budget. But one office in the Idaho State House is in danger of overspending their appropriation. So what happens when you're nearing the end of the fiscal year in this situation? One Idahoan is $1 million richer, but only if they actually claim their prize, and time is running out. Keeping a language alive. The Basques have a pretty cool way of celebrating their language with a worldwide fun run relay race. How you can take part in Boise. For months, we followed the budget situation with the Idaho Lieutenant Governor's office. It started late last year, and we followed it here on the 208. Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeachin was ordered to pay close to $29,000 in court costs and legal fees after losing her public records battle with the Idaho Press Club. And that was on top of a $750 fine that McGeachin was issued by a judge for her, quote, bad faith violations of the Idaho Public Records Act. Many expected McGeachin to try and submit a supplemental budget to help cover those fees, but the legislative session came and went without that happening, creating some questions about what happens next. Is the Lieutenant Governor just out of luck and out of money on this one? Well, we have new insight for you. On March 11th, the Division of Financial Management sent McGeachin's office an email detailing that because no supplemental budget was approved, her fiscal year 2022 budget shortfall would be estimated at a little more than $22,000. And the same email goes on to say that by the end of the fiscal year, without a balanced budget, that there could be reduction in staffing levels and personnel costs, and cutting that may be necessary. So days later, on March 16th, DFM sent another email saying, even with no more vendor payments or reimbursements until the end of the fiscal year, which ends on June 30th, the Lieutenant Governor's budget would still be short more than $15,000. And the email says even if McGeachin's staff stop working after March 30th, her office will still see a significant deficit. On March 22nd, a few days later, the State Controller's Office sent a letter to McGeachin to reiterate the point that her office was going to end the year in a $15,000 deficit at least. The letter advises McGeachin that she cannot spend any funds beyond what she's been approved to spend, and goes on to say that the law and constitutional duties of the Controller's Office prevent authorizing spending anything that exceeds her budget, and that includes paying the Lieutenant Governor's salary. So all these emails, all these letters, what does this all mean? Well, long story short, there will soon be no more money remaining in the operating budget for the Lieutenant Governor's office. And at that point, her office simply can't spend any more money until the end of the fiscal year, which ends June 30th. Now, sources tell me that one full-time staffer has already left McGeachin's office, and the remaining employee there is expected to do the same. From there, staff will no longer be on the payroll after their hours and benefits have been paid out for the most recent pay period. So the employees in the office are going to get paid. A spokesperson for the State Controller's Office, though, explained to me that, in short, when the budget runs out, pay for the Lieutenant Governor will simply be turned off. So the Lieutenant Governor's staff will be paid for their work and their benefits through the last pay period that they work, but Lieutenant Governor McGeachin will miss out on her Lieutenant Governor's paycheck because once the funds are gone, they are gone, and McGeachin's pay is cut off at that point.
I have yet to let a bill become law without my signature, and I don't anticipate that happening.
Remember that? That was Governor Brad Little last week during a press conference when asked if he planned to sign Senate Bill 1309, the Texas-style abortion bill. And that changed yesterday when two bills went into law without the governor's signature. House Bills 747 and 802 were sent to the governor's desk back on March 25th, and they had until yesterday to sign them, but the governor didn't. So what are those bills? Well, House Bill 747 gives pay raises to state officials for the next 4 years. For most, it's a 9.5% increase. For example, starting in 2023, the governor's salary increases from $138,302 to $151,400. The lieutenant governor will go from $48,405 to $52,990. Secretary of State, State Treasurer, and State Superintendent of Public Instruction will each go from $117,556 to $128,690. And these are 4-year pay raises, so these same salaries will be in effect until at least 2027. So what about the other bill? There's House Bill 802, which is another appropriations bill. However, this one basically lays out how the state will pay for the first 6 months of some of those new salaries. Again, both are now law, and something can go into law without the governor's signature if the time expires on it. Well, 3 months after it was drawn, a $1 million lottery ticket here in the state of Idaho has yet to be claimed. You heard this correctly, so listen closely if you've bought a lottery ticket. A $1 million winning lottery ticket is out there, and we know it belongs to someone in Idaho because it was all part of the Idaho Lottery's $1 million raffle game, which takes place every year towards November and December. But despite the numbers being out there for more than 3 months, no one has claimed the $1 million yet.
The end result is we've got a guaranteed prize of $1 million, but no one has stepped forward yet to claim the prize. We're encouraging everyone who bought a ticket, especially in Blaine County, for the Idaho $1 million raffle, to check those tickets carefully for the winner. Blaine County is just kind of the big hit area, but it encompasses areas from Bellevue, Haley, Ketchum, and that area there. So if you were in the, proximity of the Wood River Valley area during the raffle and you purchased a ticket from one of our retail locations, do take a look at it. Time is running out. You only have about a little under 90 days now.
Okay, so the clock is ticking, and as you saw, in case you're wondering, the winning number again is 027047. So again, think back hard. Did you buy a lottery ticket in Blaine County at the end of last year for the $1 million raffle? Did you get or give one of these lottery tickets for Christmas? I know they're a popular gift around town. It would have been an orange $100 ticket. If no one claims this ticket by June 27th, that money will go back to the state. It'll go towards Idaho Lottery's beneficiaries, which does include Idaho's Permanent Building Fund. But again, did you purchase a ticket in the Blaine County area? Check your wallet, check the card, check everywhere, because it may be worth $1 million. Some call it the longest relay race in the world. And while we can't confirm if that's true, we do know at least one off leg will take place in Boise, all in support of keeping the Basque language alive. Long day for anybody else? We're ready to start the weekend too, but not without hearing from you first. Send us a text message before you kick off your weekend, 208-321-5614. Whether it's a story idea or a comment about the show, we want to connect with you. Just make sure to include your name and hashtag the 208. We're going to share a few of your texts live on air at the end of the show. Before you start texting in, we know this is the 208, but for this next story, we're going about 5,100 miles to the east because happening right now over in the Basque country is what's called Korrika. It's an 11-day, 1,500-mile relay throughout the 7 provinces in the Basque Country. And it started yesterday, and guess what? This is a live look at the race happening right now. How about that weather over there? You can see people holding the Basque flag and jogging along in the snowy streets with music in the background. Take our word on that one. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning there right now, but I'll tell you, that is a really hearty group out there in the middle of the night running through. We say hello to them. I'm sure they can't see me. But this Korrika, it only happens once every 2 years, and people from all over, they gather in a relay-style race, as you saw, and it's a way to raise money and awareness of the Basque language. And for those of you new to Idaho, Boise has the largest population of Basque people outside of the Basque Country, which is why we have an entire block dedicated to Basque culture in downtown Boise. So when Korrika happens in the Basque Country, it also happens here in Boise, but just on a smaller scale, and you can imagine with some different weather.
The Basque language, which is euskera in Basque, is really fundamental to Basque identity. In fact, the word for Basque person in Basque is euskaldun, which literally means someone who has Basque. In other words, somebody who speaks Basque. This language, we don't know the exact dates, but we know it's quite ancient. It definitely predates Spanish and French, and was spoken pretty widely in the Basque Country. But with the Spanish Civil War and the Franco dictatorship, this language was practically banned for all intents and purposes. So a lot of the people who lived in cities were not able to maintain the language. It was not taught in schools, and it was very much discouraged. In some villages, there were signs outside where it said, "Speak, don't bark." And barking would refer to the fact that they were speaking in Basque. What's interesting here in the diaspora, here in Boise in particular, but in all of the different communities, is here in the United States, Basque was never banned. So they continued speaking it here, and it flourished. And you look around, and we have so many different people who speak Basque from the get-go, and they speak Basque and they speak English. They don't speak Spanish, they don't speak French. So it's due to the diaspora to a certain extent that this language was able to be, maintained during those dark times. Tomorrow, we're really, really excited. We're going to have our own Korrika. The Korrika is an event that takes place every 2 years in the Basque Country. It's a fun run in support of the Basque language. So in the Basque Country, people run all throughout the country from one village to another for 11 days straight, 24 hours a day. There's one baton, and it is passed along through all of the different towns, different groups. And at the end of the Korrika, the message is read out loud, and it usually has something to do with, promoting euskera, living in euskera, just giving it all the recognition that it needs, even if it's just for those 11 days. We have to continue on for the rest of the 2 years, continuing that flame so that, the next Korrika can take place. And here in Boise, what we've done is the children from the Ikastola will be writing their own little messages, words. We're going to be reading their messages as well as a general message for the Boise community, both in Basque and in English. It's important to bring visibility to the language and to the people. It's important to, make the community aware of this because, throughout the diaspora, other things have become important. Here in Boise, dance is super important, and it's beautiful. It's one of those things that was maintained here when people couldn't do Basque dancing in the Basque Country. But let's bring the Basque language in there as well, because not everybody can dance, not everybody can do different activities, but everybody can speak. Korrika, gives that significance.
So some quick math for you. They're running for 264 hours straight. Pretty impressive. So the runners carry the baton throughout the race, and that baton is filled with messages written by the students at Boise's Basque Preschool, which is the only Basque preschool, by the way, in the United States, right here in Idaho. What they say will be revealed at the end of Boise's run, and that starts at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning on the Basque Block. Everyone is welcome to join the 3-mile fun run through the Basque Block. We'll have better weather than they do. But it goes all the way through Julia Davis Park, up Capitol Boulevard, and back down the Basque Block. There's a $10 suggested donation, and that money will go towards Boise's Basque Preschool. If you say to yourself, Joe, I'm not a runner, I'll tell you this, no problem. You can join the after party, and that's right after the run, and there'll be music and food and drinks on the Basque block. And if you're looking to learn more about the Basque language, or maybe even learn the Basque language itself, the Basque Museum in downtown Boise on the Basque block, it offers so many different opportunities for those of Basque heritage, as well as those looking to learn more about the culture. That includes Basque language courses for all ages and abilities, and we've got more information on how you can do that right now in this story on ktvb.com. If anyone in the Basque country sees this, keep running through the snow. Very great work. We've gotten a lot of viewer questions over the last week, so we're cleaning out our inbox and answering them next. Have more questions for the 208? It's never too late to send them in. You can do it right now. Go ahead, text that number right on your screen, 208-321-5614. As always, make sure they're clear, concise, and clever. Make sure to include your name and hashtag the 208. And if we don't answer your comment today, stay tuned. We may answer it another day.
Around the area, as you know, and to illustrate that somewhat, as you look at the March precipitation, so we ended up with March yesterday, and we finished it, and you notice that for 2022, that's the amount of rain, 39/100ths of an inch. Wettest was a long, long time ago, but this is the wettest March we ever had, which was 3.46. Average is 1.39, so when you look at the average, and you look at how much we received in the month of March, well, we are well below average by about an inch. Last year we had about 95/100ths of an inch, which was good. We had kind of a peak in March. Now, when we take a look at the precipitation, all this area here in brown, that's below average expected in the next 90 days. This could change. It's not good news. We'll watch it closely. A lot of things could change in that amount of time, but it's not a good outlook at this point. Up here around the Great Lakes, the green is an indication of above average precipitation. If it had no color at all, it would be about average in those cases, which was the case for northern Idaho. Just to let you know, after a beautiful day today, the winds come back tomorrow. Yeah, they'll be up to about 30 miles an hour, and you'll notice it'll even be a little breezy when you get up for tomorrow morning. Now, the next storm that I'm talking about comes in on Monday, and on Monday, this is the amount of precipitation in the way of rain that we will receive. So let me there it is, 1200ths. That's what's expected right now. And again, we're still looking at this about 3 to 4 days out. So this could change somewhat as well, but that's what's anticipated with the storm. 307 inch in Twin Falls. Snow in many of these mountain locations. Now, when we get to Monday, this is tomorrow morning. If you're traveling, notice that McCall could be getting some light snow. Stanley, very light, but not much. And Haley, I don't think there's going to be much of any at all. And then as we continue, let's get into Monday. There's Monday now. With this storm system beginning into Monday and Tuesday, there could be some favorable amounts of snow in some of the higher country. Not so much for Sun Valley, but other locations are pretty good. So tomorrow's 59, and you can see Sunday is 65, so it warms up. Here's the storm system. Expect some wet conditions. Temperatures will drop just a bit, 52 on Tuesday. So you think 52 on Tuesday, but look how it warms up Thursday and Friday. As you see, temperatures could be getting into the mid. I've seen even some upper 70s. That's your weather forecast.
All right, it's Friday, which means we spent a majority of the day cleaning out our inbox and looking for some questions that we may have missed this week, and we found a few. We'll start with this one from Linda, who asks, how concerned should we be about the Omicron subvariant, given out relatively low vaccination rate and waning immunity? So it's called the Omicron subvariant, but is often referred to as the stealth variant because it has a genetic mutation that could make it more difficult to distinguish from the Delta variant. The World Health Organization says, as of yesterday, it is now the dominant variant in the United States. However, do not start panicking, please. While it does have a faster growth rate than Omicron, national health experts are not predicting another surge in cases. Okay, so what about here in Idaho? We reached out to the city of Boise's wastewater program to get a feel for what they're seeing right now. And Jake Merton with Public Works told us that there was BA2, which we just talked about, detected in our wastewater over the winter, but it was hardly anything traceable. That changed in the middle of March. During a testing of the wastewater on March 14th, which was the last time that it was tested, results showed about 32% of the COVID detected in the water was BA2. The other 68% was the original variant. And as we told you before on the 208, wastewater is usually the first indicator of what's to come. We reached out to the Department of Health and Welfare to see just how many cases of BA2 we've had in Idaho. Turns out, only 25 documented. To put that in perspective, yesterday, Idaho had just 72 new and probable cases. So while it may be the dominant variant in the United States, it is not yet in the state of Idaho. And another question for you. Bev asks, weren't we supposed to get tax rebates in March? What happened to those? That's a great question. I've heard that for a lot of people this week. So Bev is talking about a bill signed by Governor Little all the way back on February 4th, and it provides a separate tax relief check for full-time Idahoans thanks to our state's nearly $2 billion surplus. So you're eligible for a refund if you either filed in 2020 or 2021 your income state taxes, and if you meet those requirements, you're either eligible to get $75 per person and per each dependent that you claim, or 12% of your income tax, whatever is greater. Now, the good or bad news, depending on which way you look at it, the Tax Commission just started processing payments late last month, and those checks will be sent out in the order that they're received, and if you have direct deposit, you'll likely get that check even faster. Last month, after years of speculation, we learned that the California burger chain In-N-Out Hamburger is coming to Meridian, and apparently that's just the start. Can you believe this? Today, we're going to show you this sign. It popped up at the corner of State Street and Star Road. It reads, In-N-Out, coming soon. So a second location in Idaho, this one out in the suburbs, could it be? And then that's not the only big corporate name finally coming to Idaho, according to developments that happened today. How about this? According to Ball Ahlquist Ventures, Ikea is also coming to Idaho. No word on where or when it will open, but I do want to point this out. We do know that the date is April 1st, 2022. So April Fools. In-N-Out hamburgers still coming to our area, likely not in the location you saw that sign, because by the time our news crew got out there, the sign was actually taken down. But anyway, good news, and what's not an April Fool's joke, In-N-Out's going to be at the Village in Meridian. So if you want to hit up an Ikea, though, you're going to have to probably drive down to Utah or Colorado for now. Sorry. Tommy Ahlquist admitting on Twitter that, yes, it's a joke. There's no Ikea coming for now. All right, we got some comments to end the show, and the first thing we want to do is we want to address a correction. This one from Henry says, Joe, Idaho raffle tickets were $10, not $100, as you stated. That is correct. Mistake on my part. One extra zero we had. So $10 tickets. If you bought a $10 ticket, go see if you won. All right, this person says, is the lieutenant governor required to work without pay because of the budget shortfall? Here's the deal. The lieutenant governor is supposed to fulfill the duties of her office. Is she feeling like she does that unpaid, or if she feels like she's doing that paid, that is her choice, but her responsibility is to the people of Idaho. I guess it is wait and see. I think we're running out of time. Do we have one more? April Fools. That's the April Fools. Be careful on the internet outside. Anyways, take care of each other. We'll see you next week.